Hey, you guys, good morning. It's October 12th, 2016, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about some personal experiences in the military and some insights that I've gotten through there. So it's very pertinent to the world we live in today and the elections, and it's about creating the language that we need so that we can recognize the mechanisms that move the world, and creating kind of like the neural pathways that so that like can bring us towards a level of clarity rather than obscurity of what's been happening in the world, how to identify it, what names to place on it. And what I've realized through my military experiences of serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, being involved in the war on terror, and conducting night raids over and over again, and just generally being in special ops. So like I've built this understanding that our nation and the narrative that is given to the population doesn't add up to the scenario on the ground, and it has far more to do with resources than it does with terror. So even while we're over on the other side of the world, we say, oh, these guys are terrorists. But you know, that is just like the weakest form of avoidance to call those guys terrorists when we're the ones in their country blowing their doors in the middle of the night and taking them away with a black mask over their head in front of their families. That's just cowardly, but that's the scenario that we're in right now. So what I realize is that there is a bigger beast that we're involved with, and it is it's really like the connections that link it all together are unconscious ones. And so it's like we're not apart from it, it's a part of us, it's a reflection of us. But like, how can we even begin to approach it when it exists in such unconscious realms, and it's not a part of we have no real say-so in it if we're being manipulated by it. So like I realized that that it's being held together through willful ignorance. So it's important for every person to get that they can understand a bigger picture, and it is in fact their responsibility to work towards that. To never get complacent and just say, you know, this is the version of reality that I'm choosing to accept, and I don't want to even look at anything else. Like that's how some really bad things have happened in history. So my experiences were really intense in the military, and I recognized that like I didn't understand what they meant at the time that they were happening, and that I would have to piece it together after the fact. I just kind of came to grips with that, and that's just this is kind of like what's going on in the world. The drama that's playing out is that we're becoming more and more aware that there is actually a deep state that runs our country and has ran our country for a long time. And our country isn't a sovereign nation like we may think it is, and like that we teach each other it is in school. It's actually this like deeper, shadowy force of private interests, and I'd say global private interests, but more Western global private interests, that this shadowy force has like subverted our national sovereignty and has bypassed it in a way, and what we see is only the puppet. We see like the charade and the clown show, and just a direction of our energies to just manipulate our consent, and so that it appears that like is us. But in fact, it doesn't represent us from the bottom up. It represents these corrupted powers at the top that have infected with disconnection and greed and unconsciousness awareness of what's going down here. Because if they cared about what's going down right here, they wouldn't say pull a stunt like 9/11 and manipulate people from over here to go fight over here, when really like we're all together down here. Because the war on terror is a war of terror, and 9/11 was an inside job. So it's just like a matter of time before we have to wake up and acknowledge these things and create the language needed to approach it. So that's what I'm going to try to be doing today, and I'm going to cut this video off right now, and I'll come back with some more, and I want to kind of do a series on this. Thanks.